And Dr. Aparna too is here. So welcome to St. Aloysius College virtually. Our principal, Dr. Chako Jose too is here. And our manager will be joining presently.
Okay.
Yes,
Hello,
ma'am.
Aparna. How are you?
So our manager too has joined. So everyone is here. We can start the program within 2 minutes at sharp 7.
Yes, sure.
Welcome you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Our chief guest, our chairperson is here, our principal is here, and our presenter is here too. Our chairperson, Dr. Bhumika Sharma is here. Dr. Aparna Ajith is here. And the participants keep on joining. Where is the music coming from? Maybe. Meera, you can start at 7.
Okay, ma'am.
The participants will keep on joining maybe.
Okay.
Good evening, Betsy and all others. I'm Ajith.
Oh, thank you, Professor, for joining in. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Meera,
Yes, ma'am.
shall we start?
Ma'am, shall I start?
Yes, please start.
Okay. So, good evening to one and all present here on this online platform to make this venture of Chrysalis, which is moving on to its fourth season. Chrysalis IV 2024-25, a remarkable one. Chrysalis, which was established, uh, Chrysalis has established itself amongst the circle of young researchers and academicians, and it is organized by the Research and PG Department of English in collaboration with the IQAZ, St. Aloysius College, Thrissur, Kerala. So we have been conducting this in fond remembrance of our beloved teachers, Reverend Father Anthony Kutikatsi MI, Dr. Danya Menon, and Professor Paul Davis. So, in fact, it is a tribute for our beloved teachers by spreading their urge for academic enhancement and the need in molding a positive mindset among the young researchers. So, today we begin with the very first lecture of Chrysalis 4. So, without much delay, we will begin by seeking the blessings of Almighty. Now, I welcome Ms. Hridya, Research Scholar at the Research and PG Department of English, St. Aloysius College, Thrissur, for the prayer. Over to you, Hridya.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
हृदयरागतन्त्रे मीति स्नेहगीतमे कर्मभूमितळिन्तुन्न വർണ്ണമേകിയും നമ്മിൽ വാഴുമാതിനാമം ഇന്ന് വാഴ്ത്തിടാം ഹൃദയരാഗതന്ത്രി
Thank you, Drishya. Sorry, thank you, Vidya. And thanks, everyone. And let the blessings of the Almighty stay with us throughout this venture. Dr. Betsy Paul C., Director, Research Center, St. Aloysius College, Thrissur, has been a constant pillar of support for we researchers. She, in fact, is a great motivator and therefore, with much pleasure, I invite Dr. Betsy Paul C. for the welcome speech. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Meera. Respected Principal Dr. Chako Jospi. I hope I'm audible. Meera,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, you are.
esteemed managers of St. Aloysius College, Reverend Father Thomas Chakramakal, the chairperson of today's presentation, Dr. Bhumika Sharma, the eagerly awaited speaker of today, Dr. Aparna Ajith, the faculty, research scholars, students from around the nation, the faculty, scholars, and students of St. Aloysius College, Elthurth. A hearty welcome to the Research Center in English, St. Aloysius College. Research in English, or in any literature as such, has always had to balance on slippery grounds. What should one research in literary texts? Should one give priority to aesthetics or to ethics? If one should prioritize ethics of which political affiliation? If one should prioritize aesthetics, which perspective of aesthetics? Problematic indeed. And that is why we need as many perspectives as possible. Our lecture series, Chrysalis, envisages a platform for scholars passionate about literature and research in literature. Researchers from all over the country bring in their recent research, which will be followed by a vibrant question answer session under the guidance of an eminent academic who chairs the session. We hope that each one here will have something to take home from these discussions, whether you are a senior academic yourself or whether you are a student who has just embarked on that exciting journey of studying literature. Usually, our talks are structured informally, and we used to go directly to the chair and then immediately to the presentation. But this session is quite significant in that this is the first presentation in the fourth year of the Chrysalis talk series. So we think we have reason to celebrate. Hence, this formal beginning of this session. Let me welcome the principal of the college, Dr. Chako Jospi, to this event. An eminent scholar in economics, Dr. Chako has made himself beloved to the Research Center in English by his constant support, active involvement, and physical presence in all our events. A very warm welcome to this session, Dr. Chako.
Thank you.
Today's session of Chrysalis is especially honored by the presence of our revered manager, Reverend Father Thomas Chakramakal, who has served as principal in two colleges, Christ College in Yalakuda and St. Aloysius College, Elthurth. He has further served as a member of the Calicut University Syndicate, an exemplary administrator, and a well-known academic. He is also, as his students assert, a great teacher. For the Research Center in English, he has always shown boundless kindness, deep care, and ever inspiring encouragement. With deep respect, we welcome to this session Reverend Father Thomas Chakramakal. Welcome, Father. I also welcome Reverend Father Arun CMI, the administrator of the college, for his full support for this program. Now I welcome the presenter of this session, Dr. Aparna Ajith, with uh, great happiness. Her impressive credentials, I'm sure, will be illustrated in what is to follow today. A rare mixture of creative writer and critical thinker. She is the winner of many prestigious awards too. Welcome, Dr. Aparna. A teacher's moment of gratification, as far as I know, is when a student cherishes a memory. Dr. Bhumika Sharma, the chairperson of today's presentation, can be rightfully proud as a student has specifically requested me to invite a beloved teacher as the chair of her presentation. An accomplished scholar and a sought-after resource person, Dr. Bhumika is the head of the Department of English, Central University of Rajasthan. A warm welcome to you, Dr. Bhumika Sharma, to this session. I welcome the participants from all over eminent professors like Professor Ajith Ghosh, teachers, scholars, many of whom are regular attendees of our sessions. My great appreciation to all of you whose love and passion for learning have brought you here to enrich our experience of disseminating knowledge. Welcome you all. I welcome the faculty and students of the Department of English, especially Ms. Susan Joshi, Sri Jason Jose, Ms. Reshma K. Jose, Dr. Ebin Sarjan, Dr. Adita, Sri Santip, and Dr. Hari Krishnan. I welcome the research scholars of the center who have worked hard to make this day possible. Sridhya, Ms. Sudhi, Ms. Atulya, Ms. Nimad, Ms. Jamilatu, and all others do deserve a loud applause. Welcome you all. As Meera said in the beginning, the talks of Chrysalis are organized in revered memory of the former teachers of the department, Reverend Father Anthony Kutikat CMI, Dr. Danya Menon, and Professor Paul Davis. We express our immense gratitude to them. Once more, welcome you all. Welcome to St. Aloysius. Thank you, Meera.
Thank you, ma'am. Dr. Sako Josephi, Principal, St. Aloysius College, Thrissur, is an enthusiastic academician as well as a constant companion in our journey of Chrysalis. With much pleasure, I invite Dr. Sako Josephi, Principal, St. Aloysius College, for the presidential address. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Meera. Respected manager of the college, Reverend Father Thomas Chakramichael, Dr. Bhumika Sharma, Associate Professor and Head, Department of English, Central University of Rajasthan, Dr. Aparna Ajith, Assistant Professor, PG Department of English, Sree Narayana College for Women, Kollam, Dr. Betsy Paul, the research director of our college, the research scholars, faculty members, and dear students. The college is extremely proud that the PG and Research Department of English of our college is organizing this lecture series. What has surprised me is I have seen many events being launched by different departments or different organizations, and not just in our college, anywhere. And after a while, it gets stopped automatically. The basic reason is for a program like this to go on forever, every year, we should have perseverance to find good resource persons, and that involves a lot of pain and also a lot of research. So the research department, the research center of St. Aloysius College has been consistent in organizing this lecture series, and it's we are happy to see that they are starting a new series in this new academic year. So I congratulate Dr. Betsy and the faculty members of the Department of English and the research scholars who are supporting this program. And I hope the participants will benefit from this program. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now, I invite our beloved manager, Reverend Father Thomas Chakramichael, CMI, for the benedictory address. Over to you, Father.
Am I audible enough?
Yes, Father, you're audible.
There's some disturbance outside, but I think it will be manageable.
Yes, Father.
Principal Dr. Chaco Jose, Dr. Betsy Paul, our research director, all faculty members, and our chairperson of this program, Dr. Bhumika Sharma, and dear friends. With pleasure, I address you on this auspicious day when we begin our fourth Chrysalis lecture series online. Chrysalis, as explained by Dr. Betsy Paul, is related to Christ and Aloysius combined comes Chrysalis. And appreciate the initiative taken by Dr. Betsy Paul and her sincere efforts, and our research guides and research scholars and faculty members to continue this program for the fourth year. And especially I express my sincere thanks to Dr. Betsy Paul for organizing this program at the very beginning of this academic year. The lecture series have become very popular among the research scholars in India. Once I asked Dr. Betsy how she is managing of getting research scholars from other universities around the all around the India, and she said they are volunteering for this program, and we are not contacting them, but they are volunteering the program, and that means this has become very popular among the research scholars and the eminent professors of India in English. Today we have Dr. Bhumika Sharma, Associate Professor and HOD of English, Central University of Rajasthan. At the very beginning, I would say that this program will continue only with the support of the research scholars, and they should interact and have a nice discussion online, and it will enhance your knowledge in English literature and allied subjects. Wish you all the best. Wish you all the success. Thank you.
Thank you, Father. Now, the first lecture of Chrysalis IV will be presented by Dr. Aparna Ajith, Assistant Professor, PG Department of English, Sree Narayana College for Women, Kollam, on the topic Mapping Indian Literary Tradition in a Comparative Perspective, Premchand and Thakazhi. The session will be chaired by Dr. Bhumika Sharma, Associate Professor and HOD, Department of English, Central University of Rajasthan. Dr. Bhumika Sharma is the author of The African American Journey to the Power Dome, Wright Ellison Baldwin. She has co-authored and co-edited 4 books besides having published articles in reputed anthologies and journals. She have also made presentations, including those at the AZLA Congress in 2016 at Harvard University, USA, and at the 12th International Comparative Literature Association IZLA Congress 2019 at University of Macau. With much pleasure, I take this opportunity to invite Dr. Bhumika for the session of Chrysalis, as well as for introducing the presenter of today's session, and also for her valuable remarks. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Meera. First of all, I would say that I am overwhelmed because I could see that my scholars are making or carving a niche in the academic world. And then I would like to thank the college that you have invited me as a chairperson for the event, which is definitely very beneficial for the research scholars. And I always see hope and promises in this budding generation, because we are academicians, but these scholars who are budding, they are actually going to bring laurel to the academics. So I congratulate you, the entire organizing team, for conceiving this lecture series and then implementing it on a regular basis. So my hearty congrats to all of you who are a part of it. So I would like to begin with expressing my gratefulness to the principal, Dr. Thakazhi, then the IQAC coordinator, Dr. Libison KB, Dr. Betsy Parr, who is the director and in the research center in English, St. Aloysius College, and all the gathering which is there present on the online here for witnessing this session. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. And as far as the speaker of this session is concerned, that is Dr. Aparna Ajith. So she has always been a very promising scholar, and I have always enjoyed, throughout her journey when she was pursuing research. And I would like to introduce her as a resource person today, and that is, I think, the most proud moment for any teacher. And I think as a part of the academic, you must have experienced it at one or the other point of time. So let me introduce the scholar, the researcher, the you can say the budding academician, and the speaker of the present day session, Dr. Aparna ji, who served as an assistant professor in the PG Department of English at Sree Narayana College for Women, Kollam, affiliated to the University of Kerala. She has authored Musings of Venus, an anthology of poems. She is the recipient of Panorama Global Youth Literary Award 2020 and the Kerala State Chalachitra Academy Research Grant 2020. As a freelance journalist, she contributes articles and translations to the Information and Public Relations Department, Government of Kerala. She earned her PhD in English from Central University of Rajasthan, complementing her academic journey that includes a master's degree in English literature from the University of Hyderabad and a postgraduate diploma in communication and journalism from Trivandrum Press Club, Kerala. Her scholarly engagement extends to presenting around 75 papers at national and international conferences, along with contribution to esteemed journals and edited anthologies. Her interests span creative writing, translation, gender, diaspora, film, and culture studies. Formerly, she served as an ad hoc civilian teaching faculty of English at the Indian Naval Academy, Zimala. Dr. Ajith's academic and creative pursuits have afforded her opportunities to traverse 18 states and 2 union territories, enriching her understanding of diverse cultures. So, with such a vibrant backdrop, such an experience, and first-hand, you can say, encounters with all kind of the academic pursuits which she has navigated and lived and enjoyed, I think she would perhaps be able to contribute a lot to the journey of these new research scholars who have already started with a set goal in their mind. So today she would be talking about literature, English literature, especially in the comparative frame, where she would like to talk about Premchand and Thakazhi because both of them are very, very representative writers of Indian English literature. So the title of her talk is Mapping Indian Literary Tradition in a Comparative Perspective, Premchand and Thakazhi. So I invite Dr. Aparna ji to, of course, take the podium now and please deliver the talk. Yes, Dr. Aparna.
Thank you, Mom. A warm good evening to the esteemed audience. Reverend Father Thomas Chakramakil, Principal Dr. Ma'am, am I audible?
You are.
Yes,
Yes, you are.
Respected College Principal Dr. Chakojas, IQAC Coordinator Dr. Libison, uh, Director of Research, Dr. Betsy Paul, Madam. First of all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the entire St. Aloysius fraternity for giving me an opportunity to deliver this lecture. And I really feel delighted to be a part of this lecture and being the part of the first lecture. And it is indeed a great initiative that the college has been conducting, and they are continuing with this program for the past 4 years. So when you are getting a chance, or when you are giving podium for people to talk or deliver lectures on topic, it is also giving research scholars and promising people to come and get in touch with topics of various genres. And I really feel delighted to be a part of this. And in fact, this is my maiden lecture as an online resource person. And with a warm gesture of affection and gratitude, I express my delight in having my research guide as the session chair. And thank you, ma'am, for the wonderful introduction. And thank you, Madam Betsy Paul, for giving me this opportunity. And thank you for being very kind and cordial in all the wonderful discussions we had. So, without further ado, let me begin the topic. As ma'am has already said, the title is Mapping Indian Literary Tradition in a Comparative Perspective, Premchand and Thakazhi. I'll try. Is it visible?
Yeah, it
Is
is
it?
visible, Dr. Aparna.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So the topic is titled Mapping Indian Literary Tradition in a Comparative Perspective, Premchand and Thakazhi. So from the title itself, you can understand that both the people, Munshi Premchand and Thakazhi Shivashankara Pilla, they belong to two different parts of India. One representing the northern part and other representing the southern part of India. So this is broadly a part of my PhD research. I have done my research on their cultural cartography, wherein I have tried to bring the similarities and dissimilarities in the writers representing the northern and southern part. So the objectives of my presentation, basically I will be introducing the two authors, Premchand and Thakazhi, one belonging to the northern region, another southern region, and the role of progressive literature movement or the proletarian movement, Pragadishil Sangh, and that movement, how that created an impact, and at the same time how that was way different from the off-beaten track of literature we were used to. And in fact, they created an analysis of the new awakening in this era of novel writing. Then their cultural cartography, as we know that cartography, it is the art of making maps. So when these writers are trying to make the maps, how they are trying to bring the border, and at the same time there are many things which are beyond the borders. Even though we say that we belong to different part, we follow different customs, we follow different religions, together we say that we have, or we the Indians follow a kind of unity in diversity. So while I was doing my research, of course the writers belong to different parts still, and if you see, I'll be coming into those slides later. So even in the era which they have written, or there are differences between the centuries, because Premchand belonged to the latter half of the 19th centuries, whereas Thakazhi belonged to trace, I mean, a kind of resemblance, a strange familiar resemblance in these two writers. So you must understand that these two writers, they have not seen each other, I mean, they have not met each other, they have no sort of correspondence. Then how we can come across such a kind of connection, and how we were able to come across the themes that were reflected, or that were a part of the life of people from various parts of India. So the research, in my research, I basically focused on mapping those categories and the cultural environment, the regional differences of northern and southern part, and how that broadens the culture reflected in the writing. So when you are trying to talk something about what is happening in Kerala, and when we are moving to a place like Uttar Pradesh, how that culture is different, the way, it's how they interact, how they behave, how they look like, how they eat. There are a lot many differences, but after all, we all are human. So right at the beginning, Madam Metzipol has mentioned about the question of ethics and aesthetics. So when we are looking into literature, or when we are dealing with writers, we always come across this question, where actually we have to follow. Is it just the ethics, or is it simply the aesthetics, or it should be a combination of all these things? As we all know that this progressive literary movement, it was something that tried to question the kind of writing that existed till now. And Premchand can be considered as the pioneer, or he is considered as the forerunner of this progressive writers movement in India. Later on, we could see how that slowly emerged, or later it flourished in other parts of India like Kerala, Bengal, Tamil Nadu, and various other parts. In the presentation, I'll be talking about the rural background and the depiction and the similarities, and of course the disparities. So when I'm talking about the rural background, as we all know, that means I hope that a majority of the people present here are Malayali. So obviously all are familiar with Thakazhi Shivashankara Pilla. So the Thakazhi Shivashankara Pilla, as per Ronald E. Asher, Thakazhi's language, the Malayalam language, is known as the language in which Thakazhi Shivashankara Pilla has written his Tamil. So from that itself, we can understand the kind of recognition or the kind of fame we gave to his work. And he is a Jnanpith Award winner. He's a Padma Bhushan Award winner, and even in his writings also we can also manifested in different forms in the works. If one work is focusing on women, the other work is focusing on the working class, and the other work is focusing on the generation and the kind of rifts happening in society. Another work is focusing on untouchables. So similar is the case with Munshi Premchand. Munshi Premchand, as we all know, that he is called as the emperor or the Upanya Samrat, the emperor of novelists. And Danpat Roy, later he took the pseudonym, later he started writing as Munshi Premchand. So Munshi Premchand actually holds a great significance in Indian writing, especially in Hindi literature. As we know that even in Hindi literature, we can see that papers are structured in Bharatiya Kahani or Hindi novel Premchand holds a high pedestal even now. So when I have decided to compare these two writers, the challenge which I faced in the beginning, as I've mentioned in the outset, the writers, one is Munshi Premchand and one is Thakazhi. So one person, Premchand has written earlier in the beginning stages. He has written his works in Urdu language. Later, those works were he has translated and he has written those in Hindi language. Means it was actually a transition from this Urdu language to Hindi language. But even if we see his works or even if we read his works, we can still come across a lot of elements in the sense, lot of words from Hindi language, Urdu language, Sanskrit language, and all we can see. And as far as Thakazhi is concerned, Thakazhi's language, even I have mentioned in my art and literary aesthetics chapter, there I've clearly mentioned his language is actually free from the Sanskritized words. But we always get stuck with lot of words. They are either colloquial, we can say, or the language which is spoken, means the kind of local dialect he has used in his writing. So I have when I was doing my research, I have made a point that I will I thought I'll stick on to the translated works. The reason being, as a Malayalam speaker, as a Malayali, I'm very much familiar with the language, and I can read and I can understand. So the source language is very much there, but when it is written in a target language, we know that when it is translated from Malayalam to English, there will be many differences. Obviously, there will be the problem of fidelity will be there. There will be the problem of linguistic nuances and all linguistic subtleties. And same goes with same goes with the case of Premchand. And when I'm taking a writer like Premchand and a language which I'm not that familiar with, so in order to do justice to my thesis, I have relied, or I have made the primary sources as the text written in the target language, that is in English. Of course, I have gone through almost all the works I have selected for my thesis in Malayalam language, and with the help of Bhumika ma'am, with whatever doubts I had, she was always very helpful in giving me valuable suggestions. And as far as Premchand, some essays are concerned, especially those essays written on progressive literature, his ideas on progressive movement, that in the year 1936, when he was elected as the president of this movement, he had many ideas, and he told that literature has to be changed. It is not something that we should portray about the people who are existing in this society, because a realist writer who presents the characters in their real naked form to one reader, one to the readers. A realist writer is enchained in the shackles of experience. When he's trying to talk about the experience, he clearly mentioned that the experience is about the people, and that literature should have some sort of utility. Utility, in the sense, means that will be able to communicate something with the people, and in fact, he tried to maintain a kind of realism, and that to a kind of literary realism in his works. Since there is domain of evil characters in the world, and even in most resplendent character there is some blemish, as we all know that even in a wise person or even in a very good person we can come across some kind of wicked thing, and the vice versa. Therefore, realism is the naked portrait of our weaknesses, cruelties, and hatred. And Premchand actually ascertains this fact when he has written his works like Karma Bhumi, Godan, and Rengabhumi. In all these works, we can see the mix of characters who have these kind of cruelties, who have these kinds of wickedness and hatred. And Thakazhi Shivashankara Pilla, he's widely known as the chronicler of Kuttanad, and we all know, or we are familiar. Almost all are familiar with means R.K. Narayan and his Malgudi days, or we are familiar with Hardy's Wessex novels, or we are familiar with Faulkner's Yokna Patafa. So, like that, Kuttanad is made famous, or Kuttanad is made familiar by Thakazhi Shivashankara Pillai. He has written almost 36 novels, and almost all the novels are centered around Kuttanad and the locale. And same goes with the short stories. And he says, "I'm a common village man. My medium is the language of the village folk." And he has also remained true to this saying by retaining the language and retaining the kind of conversations. And I hope most of the people are familiar with the novel Chemin, and that is adapted into the movie. So when you read the novel, or with the novel Chemin, and that is adapted into the movie. So when you read the novel or when you watch the movie, the kind of language which we use, or the a kind of language which we come across, is also very much different. And particularly, if I'm saying in particular about Chemmi, the book has been translated by uh, many people, almost 6 to 7 translations. When I was doing my doctoral research, it was indeed the fourth or fifth translation, but I tried to focus my research, or my primary source, as the recent translation done by Anita Nair. So in the beginning, when Narayana Menon has translated the work, and when that work was translated by Anita Nair, there were many changes. And in fact, she has commented that translating a work like Thakazhi Shivashankara Pilla's Chemin was in fact a linguistic nightmare. We all know the kind of words which he used. And of course, when we say something like Tanga Kudam in Malayalam, and when you are translating that into pot of gold, what sort of meaning that gives to the foreign readers, or those of not familiar with the language, means it is in fact a question. And the words which we used in an eco-critical work, or in a novel like Chemin, when the writer is trying to talk or communicate in a language that is common, or that a language is familiar only with the Dai tribe or the fisherman community, and that language, even for the Malayalis, even for Malayali speakers, the language is not that familiar, or even very many words. So imagine the situation when we are translating this, and when we are presenting this in the to foreign readers, how they will get. That is one reason why they all have given a kind of endnote and footnote to substantiate the views, or substantiate the meanings they have given to all these works. And there lies actually the significance of translation studies. So even in my research also, regarding to the scope of the future researchers, I have even highlighted a point regarding the translation studies. Of course, when we are talking about a writer, about a Gyanpith winner like Thakazhi Shivashankara Pilla, and his works are not that much researched, or not that much explored, we must understand the fact that there might be problems, or there might be issues issues with the availability of resources or the resources. Most of them were, even while I was doing my research also, I encountered the same problem that many of the works were written in Malayalam language, and even critical works were scanty. And at the same time, while doing the review of literature, I got to know that most of the works were written in Malayalam language, and only handful research were done, and comparisons were also nil during that time. So here I have given the literary oeuvre of both the writers, Premchand and Thakazhi Pillai. So if you observe this, you can understand that I have not given their works in a chronological order, and the reason being the works which I have given in the beginning, all those works I have included in my doctoral research, and at the same time I have tried to draw some sort of parallels and comparisons between these works. So Godan and Chemmin, Seva Sadan and Padida Pankajam, Renga Bhumi and Randidangadi, then Karma Bhumi, Nirmala, other works also I have incorporated. So even so from the timeline or from the dates I have given here, from this itself you can understand that there are differences, at least a decade's difference or more than a decade's difference. For the first two works I have given here are, one is Godan and another one is Chemmin. Like the way we talk about Chemmin as the masterpiece of Thakazhi Shivashankara Pillai, Godan is known as the masterpiece or the renowned work of Munshi Premchand. And if you observe the years also, you can understand the difference. One is written in the year 1936 and Chemmin was written almost after 2 decades. And another thing which I have noticed is both the movies have been adapted, and in adaptation one comes in the year, means adaptation just only 1 or 2 years difference that have come. And Chemmin as a movie that everybody must be knowing, that that's the first South Indian movie to win the President's Award for the Best Indian Film. And I will not be going into detail about all the works, but I'll just hint at how I tried to map the Indian literary tradition in these two writers, Premchand and Thakazhi Shivashankara Pillai. So, in the first work, Godan and Chemmin, what I have seen is Godan, as you know, that it is Godanam or the gift of cow, and Chemmin, as we all know, that it is shrimps or the fish Chemmin. In both the works, the characters in Godan also we come across a character who wants to possess something in his life, or who wants to have something of his own in his life. So in Chemmin also the character Chemban Kunj also has the kind of same desire. And here what Hori wants to have a goat of his own, whereas in Chemmin, Chemban Kunj wants to have a boat of his own, and one needs a boat, another one needs a cow of his own. And even in the kind of even in the kind of their behavior, even in the kind of their approach, there are not many differences. And although these two characters are ambitious, even though they are trying to pursue their dream or pursue to possess their dream, at one point or the other they both became, or they both tried to, or both come across a lot of tragedies in life. So as we all know that Chemmin and at the same time Godan both do have a sort of tragic ending, but in that they are trying to talk about the kind of life which we have, or the kind of people which are still existing among us. It is not just a fancy story, or it is not just a mere fiction. And in Godan, even the characters and the kind of relationship which they have, whether it is husband-wife relationship, whether it is the relationship with father, mother, or with the working class and the ruling class, and how. And in all the works, even in Godan's Hori and in Chemban Kunji, we can see that they are ambitious, and they somehow wanted to achieve that. But even in the way of achieving their dreams, they are falling at one point or other. And in these two novels, we can see that both the characters, I mean the female characters, are emerging, or they are trying to be vocal, or they have to be the victims of their verbal, physical abuse and whatnot. But still, they try to support their husband. They try to become vocal. For instance, in the character, for instance in the novel Godan, Hori's wife Dania, she is a dutiful wife. She takes care of her three children, and when she gets to know that her son is having an affair with a lower caste woman, even the pandit and even the community comes and says that means that person should be ousted, Hori is not supposed to be a part of your family. But here this even Hori tries to appease the community or the higher caste, whereas Dania, she voluntarily or she willingly takes care of the lady. She belongs to the lower caste, Dunya, and she in fact gives her solace and she in fact gives her a shelter at the home, whereas her son is not willing to take care and means towards, while the story is progressing, we can see that he moves and he becomes a part of the city, and later he takes his wife also to the city, and there happens a lot of problems in their cordial relationship, and how their relationship is dwindling, be with the family or be with wife, be with husband, or be with the parents, the kind of relationship dwindling. So in all these cases, Hari, the character wants to possess a cow, and he somehow wants to do that, but at many point, and when he tries to bring a cow, the kind of jealousy or the kind of relationship his brothers and their wives show, even all these show that this is a kind, or means everybody wants to possess and others are not capable, or they cannot do that. When one person or their sibling is doing, they cannot actually accept it, and the kind of relationship, and at the same time they are trying they are trying to create issues, and they do not want him to have that cow at his home. And later at the end of this story, we can see the tragic death of Hori, and at the time when his wife Dania is running behind people, and they wanted to give this cow as the gift, or a gift at this last moment, which is also not happening. But the way she's going, she's trying to find money even in bits and pieces, so that dutiful nature, or that kind of obligation to the husband she's trying to do. At the same time, she never fails to question the kind of society, and whenever Hori is trying to be very polite, and whenever he's trying to be very much obedient and passive, his wife always questions, and she is considered to be a vocal character. And we know that as a family there will be, and this wife and husband relationship is cordial, but at the same time they do have their own discords in their relationship. So when we read and the beautiful rendition of a village life is given, and how the other people, or how the community and how they interact, and when he's going through a very bad time, how his family considers him, how his wife treats him, and the kind of and the kind of problems they encounter when their daughter has to get married. So all these things actually show, or that actually create a kind of sympathy, and to an extent it is capable of creating an empathy in us by making us feel that yes, this is happening somewhere, this can be our problem also. In that kind of, although I have relied on the translation, even the translation is capable of giving the kind of impression that Hori is a character, or Hori is the gift of cow, or that Godan has to be done, and that is their custom. So in order to follow the custom, or in order to be a part of the custom, how much we have to struggle, how much we have to face in our daily life, that is very much reflected. And the same goes with the case of Chemmin. There we can see that Chemban Kunyi, then Kartama's relationship with Parikuti, who is a Muslim, and why he cannot marry Kartama, and why Chemban Kunyi is not willing for their marriage. And we can see that Chemban Kunyi is having a good relationship, and he tries to take the help of Parikuti in buying a boat, and lot many things are happening in the story, but their love or that kind of relationship did not materialize. So in Godan also a kind of relationship was also there between Malti and Datta, the two characters. One belongs to the higher caste, and they are although they don't come to a relationship as husband and wife, they do have some sort of feelings, but that actually do not get materialized. And even in this in Godan, if we say that Hori and Hori's wife Dania is the vocal character, and she is trying to question. In Chemmin, we can see that it is Chemmin. It is her daughter, I mean, it is Chembankunyu's daughter, Kartama, is being very vocal rather than her mother Chakki. This is what my inference is, because the myth or the kind of belief existing among fishermen folk is very much revealed in this story, because they say that the people who go, the fishermen who go to the sea, their life is actually vested on the people, especially the women folk who are there at the home. So if we come out of that nuptial bond, or if at all we break that bond, or if something happens, if we do not remain faithful in this relationship, something bad or some bad omen will happen. So exactly that is what happening towards this end of the novel. So we come across a tragic death of Kartama. Means her husband, then Chemban Kunye, he's becoming insane, then the character happening, then Chucky dies, all this. So from one level, when we look at both the novels, in both there are strong women characters, but at the same time, although they are being vocal, they are trying to question the kind of attitude, be it their change in their nature, or be it the way they approach the situations, they approach the people. Those women folk, they are questioning, but at one extent or the other, they have to be subservient, or they have to be the victims of the male supremacy that is very much reflected in both the novels. But still, the desire to possess something, the desire to become something, and the desire to make that a part of life, that is something predominant and prevalent in both the characters, be it Hori or be it Chemban Kunyu. That kind of determination or the kind of perseverance, what is there. So come what may. So in both the novels, we can see that their end, or they both are having a sort of tragedy. One dies and the other one also has the same kind of fate, but still they tried their best to follow their passion. And then these are the kind, and in both the novels there are a lot of similarities in the tradition, especially when I'm talking about the tradition in Chemmin. The tradition, or the how, as I've already mentioned about the kind of fisherman myth, and the goddess, sea goddess, or Kadalama. Kadalama is considered as the precious one, and Kadalama should not create any troubles. That means we should not do anything against the wishes of this mother goddess or sea, and the myth of chastity is treated with great significance in a novel like Jimmy. If you observe all the other novels here I have mentioned, like Randidangadi, Tyagathinu Pradipalam, Reward for Sacrifice, Thotide Magan, Scavengers and any particular runs of ladder, Anubhangal, shattered experiences, Anubhangal Palichagal, then choir. In all these novels, he's trying to give different themes. And Chemmin is one that stands unique from all these, and that is the only one where we can come across a kind of love relationship, or of course a sort of triangular love, and at the same time is talking about the fisherman community, their issues. But when you are moving to a novel like Arandi Dangadi and Rangabhumi, in both the novels we can come across both the writers are trying to give the transition phase, or the socio-political transition is very much there in the novel. And in Randi Dangadi, the character Koran and how he emerges as a revolutionary reader, and in stories like Thotide Magan also you can see Scavenger's Son. So Scavenger's Son or Thotide Magan, it is almost similar to what we have seen in Mulkraj Anand's Untouchable or the character Baka. So in Thotide Magan, we all know that the characters Ishukumuthu and Chudalamuthu are there. So a scavenger's son is supposed to be a scavenger when he wants to become, or when he decides to become something else in life. How the society reacts, or how the society considers some. So even in the second generation, when Chudalamuthus and Ishukumuthus in the next generation, when they try to name him as Mohanan, and the father is not willing to come in front of the son, or he even maintains a distance, and he does not want that identity to to be revealed in front of his son. And later, even the novel also gives a sort of tragic end, because the character, this Mohan, or the other generation, he cannot, even though he was going to school, when the people get to know about the identity, what kind of issue that happens, or scavenger son is destined to be a kind of scavenger. Or even if we society has its own norms and rules. So when we try to come out of that, society questions in one way or other way. Of course, there will be always the problems of working class and ruling class. And in Randidangadi, you can see that it is 2 measures of rice. Even in giving the 2 measures of rice as the remuneration, the kind of problems which they create in the society. So when one person emerges as a revolutionary or a leader, and the kind of problems that exist in the society, and how they try to coerce or how they try to persuade the people belonging to that community. But it is in fact a brave effort from the part of these progressive writers, that they started writing about something new, or something that has not been discussed, or that has not come into this popular parlance, or even in these academic circles, or even in literary works. The nature and purpose of literature. In his presidential address, and it is in 1936, in fact the same year Munshi Premchand passed away. So in the presidential address delivered at the first All India Progressive Writers Conference as Lucknow, he has clearly mentioned, and we know that like Sadat Hasan Mando, Mulkraj Anand, Sajjad Sahir, all these writers also follow the same trend, or we can say that they are, when we take into consideration the Malayalam writers, or Thakazhi belongs to the literary pentagon, along with P.C. Kuttikrishnan, Vaikam Muhammad Bashir, Vaikam Muhammad Bashir and all. I'll come into that. So the nature and purpose of literature. So in this, he has tried to say that literature which does not arouse in us a critical spirit, or satisfy our spiritual and intellectual needs, which is not force-giving and dynamic, which does not awaken our sense of beauty, which does not make us face the grim realities of life in a spirit of determination, has no use for us today. It cannot even be termed as literature. It cannot even be termed as literature. And in the essay, Sahityik Ki Pragati, in the nature and purpose of literature, he has clearly mentioned that it should be the criticism of life, and at the same time, we should try to talk about the problems rather than talking about the pleasant things, or the happenings, present happenings of the society. So here we should give, and he has even about the grim realities of the life. Grim realities in the life, it is not. And when they are writing, they have given too much importance for the freedom of thought and expression. That also he has clearly mentioned that it should be a manifestation. It should be a manifestation of a tussle between truth and untruth. There is something called truth, and there is something called untruth, or the kind of fiction. But we should not always be focusing about the kind of fancy. But literature should be reformative, and it should be entertaining also. Unless if you are only talking about some kind of reformation, it might not be appealing, but it has to be entertaining. Although in the works like that, in particular the works like Karma Bhumi or Ranga Bhumi is trying to talk about lot many fictional stories about the love affair, about the failed love affair. He has given importance to the colonial aspect, and his admiration or the adoration for Mahatma Gandhi, and the inclination of the character Amarkant towards this independence movement, those are clearly reflected, and how he emerges as a leader later on. Because in the beginning he was not that much keen, or he was not that much concerned of what is happening. Later he's tried to question, and he understands that he has a place, and he later emerges as a leader. He starts teaching students. He became vocal about the independence problems and how the way we are colonized by the people. So in many of the novels, if you see that the characters are actually progressing, characters are especially in the novel Karma Bhumi, and even in the novel like Nirmala, you can see that a girl, she gets married to a man who is double or triple the age of hers, And when she develops a kind of love or a kind of affection to the son in the sense the son of her husband's first wife. So the husband even mistook that relationship, and he tries to uh, he tries to label it as or interpret it as something illegitimate. And for a character like Nirmala, that guy, he's the only person giving a sort of admiration, and at the same time they have a lot of topics to discuss, and she feels a kind of motherly affection, and at the same time she feels comfortable enough to confide her interests, her passion for life and everything. And even in this novel also we can see the tragic death of the son and the kind of transformation that her husband undergoes. And Nirmala later on tries to become a part of that. Although she tries to get acquainted, although she tries to adjust with all this, she finds problems and she's not able to focus on her newborn baby girl. She is more or less preoccupied by the thoughts of the deceased son. So all these things we can, and in many of the novels there are the renditions, or there are the portrayals of stepmother, there are the widows. So I feel that that can be his own personal, because in his life, or in his personal life, he has seen the loss of his mother at the age of 8, and later he was taken care of by his I should not say taken care, later his father married, and she has not given him proper care, and he was taken care of by her by his grandmother, later by his sister. So when they all left, he actually faced a kind of vacuum, and he ended up with a forceful marriage which he never wanted to. And later on we can see that he gets married to a lady, means later with Shivarani Devi, and she is vocal, and she is a part of the Arya Samaj. So, and she was a widow. So when he's talking about widow remarriage, when he's trying to give you the picture of the problems faced by women, and at the same time about the assault, or the kind of sexual assault, all these things, all these are in one way or other way connected to the life. And it is in fact said that the short story which is written in the beginning time, Bade Ghar Ki Beti, the character is based on his own mother, because yes, in mother belong to Bade Ghar, she belongs to a big family, and the way she's trying to adjust with all the things. So all when you read all these stories, in one way or other, Premchand is trying to connect, or Premchand is trying to throw a lens. Here I have only incorporated the names of the novels, but their short stories are widely read, and even in University of Kerala, they have recently included the syllabus in which which I am currently teaching. We even teach Premchand's Kafan, that is translated, and we teach in English language as short. So when I am teaching a short story, or when I am reading a short story like Kafan, I always feel that it is in fact a blessing in disguise, because had there been no translation, I would not have been able to read a masterpiece like Kafan. So, and same goes with the case of Thakazhi's Vellapokkathil, or In the Floods, that is also widely read and studied across various Indian universities. So Chena Pareno, the kind of character and the relationship when a flood occurs, and at that moment we will try to save our own lives, or else our dear ones, our family, our wife, husband. But the kind of relationship, or the kind of gratitude which that dog had for the master, that is praiseworthy. And when you see even that relationship, even we cannot understand, even people who are familiar with us, even they behave strange to us, but the kind of relationship with this dog had with the master is praiseworthy. So even after 2-3 days, when Chenaparayan comes back, once the flood recedes, and when he comes to see, and when he gets to know that the dog died while having a fight, and while trying to save or rescue the home. So that also evokes a kind of feeling, or that also evokes a kind of sympathy, because a flood, it is of course a natural disaster. Whenever a natural or disaster or something comes, we do not know what we will have in life, what we will regain, what we will retain in life. Nobody knows. That is a kind of uncertainty, but the kind of gratitude, and at the same time he comes, that it is not, I don't think that, or in my reading, it is not just a master slave relationship, it is more than that. And The same kind of theme is again seen in Premchand's short story though Bailongi Kada, the story of two bullocks, Hira and Moti. So the bullocks are actually sold to another person. Still, they come back to the old master, although they know that he's not able to take care of them. But still, the kind of relationship, how they, even after running miles and miles, they come back, and the way they, when they come across or when they meet their master back, the kind of affection or the kind of relationship, and even when that is portrayed in a language, even in a target language like English, it evokes a kind of sympathy, or it evokes a kind of emotion, a kind of relationship with the reader that is able to establish. So, if the translation is able to establish this much relationship, what would be the beauty in a source language? That is all. That is always there in the case of Thakazhi's works too. And Thakazhi's most of the works, I mean, short stories are translated. A few of the short stories, the best of Thakazhi, Shivashankara Pillai translated, and those works are available, written by K.M. George. And almost 600 short stories are there. And means in the year 2018, short stories of Premchand have also been compiled, and now they are available in 4 volumes. Because while I was doing my research, I really tried hard to find the translations and the short stories, and which would better fit in my Indian literary tradition, and how I can map that. But now, recently, this in 2018, this book has come, and almost all the stories are available, and even the translation, even the names of Hindi works are also given. And Premchand, his life and times, Amina Kasi, Professor Amina Kasi had translated a book, and that was released in the year 2019. Because Premchand has mainly given lectures, especially about this Pragadishil or this All India Progressive Writers Movements. They all are like Sahitiki Pragriti, the purpose of literature, the art of literature, all these things essays. Because while I was doing my research, most of these works were written, and I tried hard to find, and with the help of my guide and with the help of my Hindi speaking friends, I tried to get the gist of that. But today, I don't think the future researchers or who would be doing research in Premchand and Thakazhi won't be facing, because many of the works are now available in translation, and almost all the essays, even All India Progressive Writers Association, what were the key points, what were the discussions they have done, and what kind of changes they wanted to bring in literature, all these things, they were translated from Hindi to English language, and they are readily available. Now I'll give a quick glimpse of the two movies, two novels, Seva Sadan and Padita Pankajam. And Seva Sadan, again, it's also a women-oriented, again, in mapping literary tradition, these novels also hold a significance, because here both the writers are trying to question the moral or the ethical frame, what we should give importance, and who is actually deciding, or who is actually determining the morality of the society. So if you see the Seva Sadan and Padita Pankajam, in both these novels, we can actually see the kind of transformation both the characters are undergoing. And in Seva Sadan and Padita Pankajam, both the characters are prostitutes. And we all know, or most of the people we have come across in either in movies, either in novels, most of them, they don't want to become a prostitute by will, but they have no other choice. They are forced to become that. But once they feel like coming out of the track, once they want to come out of that fallen track, the so-called fallen women or fallen track, how does the society react? How does the society accept them? That is very much questioned in both the novels through their characters, Suman and Gunavati. Even in naming the characters, one is termed as Suman, and another one is termed as Gunavati. So if you see even the name Suman is again a flower, or Suman is one with a beautiful mind. So Gunavati means one with virtuous qualities. So the characters, they are strong women characters. But if you see the names, those names are contradictory to the kind of profession, or contradictory to what they're doing. But towards the end, both the characters are undergoing a kind of cathartic transformation. But of course, society finds hard to accept them. In Suman, she emerges as a leader and she starts a house of service, Seva Sadan. She starts a Sadan or a house to take care of the women or to take care of the prostitutes. Whereas in Gunavati, she comes out of the clutches of all those wicked men and she tries to have a life with a person. Although that is not, although she wishes to have a new life with the character Vinen, it's not materializing. But she comes out of the track of prostitute and she wishes to lead a new life by doing some other job. So in both these novels, we can see a kind of social reformation or a kind of cultural transformation. Suman had to undergo, even in life, Suman has seen her nearby her home or outside her home, there was a prostitute Bholi. So she thinks that she's not that well off. Suman feels she's not that well off and her husband is not able to take care of her. Whereas see the character Boli or that prostitute Boli, she is given too much reverence. Even great leaders or even the village priest, everybody comes or everybody bows in front of her. Also Suman thinks that I'm beautiful than her, I can dance better than her, so why I can't follow that track? And she naturally gets persuaded by the track of Boli and she goes through that, and later she realizes her folly because her family is also not able to accept her own sister Shanta, her brother-in-law. So finally she decides to come out of that, and her husband also undergoes a transformation. He becomes a Swami towards the end, and Suman becomes a servant, or she starts serving the people, or she starts teaching new lessons to the prostitutes. So we can say that this is the kind of transformation, and this is not the transformation we expect or we want just in a novel. That kind of transformation should happen even in the society. This is how we progress. Means that is why ultimately literature is not just the fancy things, or it is not just the spontaneous overflow. There must be something what we have seen, what we have felt, and what we have experienced in life. So there comes the realism and this progressive writers movement, and Premchand being a forerunner and Thakazhi being a pioneer of progressive movement in Malayalam literature, they have actually paved way for a new writing. So when they are trying to give, of course there will be a lot of issues in the sense is when they are trying to write about a topic that is not discussed, when they are trying to question the Marxist ideologies, or when they are trying to question the communist ideologies, they will have to face even their characters are also undergoing the problems. But they understand that it is time for us to protest. Unless and until we protest, our situation won't flourish, because they are always, even in Randidangadi, we can see that how they are being how they are being treated or ill-treated by the ruling class. There is always this problem of Jenmi Kudian, or that ruling class, working class, that is very much there in this novels. And in art vis-a-vis reality, we can see that when they are trying to talk about this literary realism, they ultimately have to talk something about the language of the common folk. And even in the language, both the writers, they have tried to stick on to a third person narrative mainly, and at the same time even the language, even the choice of symbols. When I'm talking about Premchand, he uses a lot of Sanskrit words, Hindi words like Pandit, Dobi, Pulka. A lot of words are coming in his language, whereas in the case of Thakazhi Shivashankara Pilla, we come across the language, that fragrance of native language is very much there. When I was reading both these writers, I even in my conclusion, I came across a point that Premchand father wanted to make him a lawyer, which Premchand did not become in his life. Whereas Thakazhi was a lawyer and he quit the profession. But through their works, they tried to become the strong advocates of what they wanted to say, be it about revolution, be it about the oppression or the suppression of the working class people. So they have tried to become the advocates. So advocates of the ideologies they want to propagate in the community. So language is actually becoming a spokesperson. So Ronald Escher has been right in saying that Thakazhi's language means Malayalam language is known as the language in which Thakazhi Shivashankara Pillai has written. Even the narrative techniques also, most of the works have written in the third person narrative, especially all the novels which I have shown, they are written in the third person narrative. And I would like to I would like to give a single quote from, in order to substantiate this, I have very much included in my doctoral research. When we are translating, means there, as I've mentioned in the beginning, I have relied on the translation of Anita Nair's Chemmi. So Anita Nair, even she has said that it was a kind of nightmare for her to translate. When you are translating from one language to another, in order to maintain this fragrance of native language or the choice of some imageries, it will be very difficult for us to show justice. So here, when she is trying to write something, she tried to retain some of the words. For example, in Malayalam, for daughter, we call it as magal or magale. Here in Thakazhi's Chemmin, it is magale, chachi. These are the words. For sister, it is given as chachi. And so when a writer like Anita Nair, she has not translated the words as daughter, or she has not translated the word as sister. Rather, she has retained the words as magale, and she has retained the words as chachi, kochu mudalali. Many of the words she has tried to retain. And towards the end, she has given that in the footnote, it has clearly mentioned this is how it is mentioned. So just to show the linguistic flavor or language, I will read a small piece from Chemmin. First, I'll read it in my mother tongue, and then I will read its English translation. ഭാഗം 1. എന്റെ വള്ളവും വലയും മേടിക്കാനെ കൊണ്ട് പോവാണല്ലോ. കറുത്തമ്മയുടെ ഭാഗ്യം. കറുത്തമ്മയ്ക്ക് ഉത്തരം മുട്ടിപ്പോയി. പെട്ടെന്ന് തന്നെ അവൾ ആ ഘട്ടം കടന്നുകൂടി. അവൾ പറഞ്ഞു, പക്ഷേല് രൂപ തികയത്തില്ല. ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് കുറെ രൂപ തരാവോ? എന്റെ കയ്യിൽ എവിടെന്നാ രൂപ? പരീക്കുട്ടി കൈമലർത്തി കാണിച്ചു. കറുത്തമ്മ ചിരിച്ചു. പിന്നെന്തിനാ വലിയ കൊച്ചുമുതലാളിയാന്നും പറഞ്ഞ് നടാക്കുന്നേ? എന്നെ എന്തിനാ കൊച്ചുമുതലാളിന്ന് കറുത്തമ്മ വിളിക്കുന്നേ? പിന്നെ എന്നാ വിളിക്കണം? പരീക്കുട്ടിന്ന് വിളിക്കണം. So I'll read its translation in English. Chapter 1. That father of mine talks of buying a boat and nets. What a lucky girl you are, Kartama. Kartama did not know what to say. More to fill the silence than anything else, she blurted, but there isn't enough money. Do you think you could give us some? But where do I have the money? Parikutti spread his arms out in front of her. Kartama laughed. So, why then do you stutter on calling yourself little boss? Why do you call me little boss, Kartama? So when we read this Malayalam, even this language or the kind of words or language used in Malayalam language is not familiar, or this is not. Although we have dialectical variations when we move from the northern part to the southern part of Kerala, this is a language that is spoken among the fishermen community. So when even for a translator, she has faced this much difficulties, and when we are also reading, we do have difficulties. So such a work is when translated into a target language, or when such a work is introduced to the author, some words do have to be written. This is means literature or art should not be lost in translation. This is what I honestly feel, and Anita Nair has done justice by retaining the local fragrance of lot many words. And similar goes with the case of Munshi Premchand. Lot many words like Ekadashi, Dhobi, Kuber, Dhoti, all those words, many of the words have been retained in words like Sevasad and Karma Bhumi. So there is a limit. Of course, when you're translating, it should be a faithful translation. It has to be. There are limitations when you're translating. There will be the problem of whether we should translate it word to word, or whether we should focus on the essence, or whether the translator is becoming a new writer. This is always the problem. And regarding the work which I have already mentioned, Padita Pankajam, this translation was not available when I was doing the research work. So most of the quotations or which I really wanted or incorporated in my thesis, I have translated in my own way. So there are many words which actually don't have an exact equivalence, and there are many words that has to. So although we say that there is translatability, there are some things that remains untranslatable, and there lies the essence of the language, and that actually gives a uniqueness for any language, be it Hindi or be it Malayalam. So I'm moving to the conclusion part. So while mapping this Indian literary tradition, I have seen that they have tried to be very much progressive in whatever ideas they wanted to communicate, be in the portrayal of the characters, be in the depiction of their theme, be in the depiction of their plot and everything. And it is almost a kind of photographic description, the way they are trying to give the picturize the characters. And some characters still remain in our life, or some characters even retain a place in our mindset, because a character like Hori or a character like Chemban Kunyi, they do have a significance because they are a part of the realistic life. And both the writers have their own individual ideological commitment. When I say ideological commitment, they are focusing on their literary realism, and at the same time they are actually focusing on their whether they're interested in colonial movement or whether they are interested in Marxist ideologies. All those things are, their literature becomes twofold when they are trying to communicate their ideas. And of course they do have a progressive vision. That is one reason why we do study and we do research, and their works are being incorporated and widely discussed. And when I brought both these writers in a comparative paradigm, the biggest thing which I have found, or the kind of lacunae which I felt in both the writers, is maybe Premchand's language. Premchand has written his works in Hindi, and Hindi as a language that is widely spoken in various states or various parts of India. So that language, and at the same time that is being accepted and appreciated. But when we are coming to a writer like Thakazhi belonging to Kerala's Kuttanadu, although he's a Jnanapith winner, he is a civilian award winner, and he is a renowned writer, his works are, of course, his works are known, but they must be studied and they must be researched, and they should actually gain much more significance than what is existing in the society. This is what I felt while doing my research. And their socialism, the common ideology that is very much there, and Marxist influences there in some characters, like when they are trying to question the bourgeois community, when they are trying to question their rulers based on their wages, when they are trying to question when they are trying to question the kind of exploitation showing. All these things actually show their influence. And it is in fact a sort of cartographic representation, because when we are trying to draw map, we will be having lot of borders, we will be having lot of barriers, boundaries. But here in this cartographic representation, although they can be means differentiated in lot many ways, in because they belong to different place, means geographically they are different, they are distant, but the kind of familiar resemblance is very much there in their themes. And even in the way they are portraying these similarities, we can see that it is not something literature or the theme or the kind of feelings or emotions of humans are almost universal. Be it in northern India, be it in southern India, ultimately we all are human. So the kind of feeling or the kind, be it a traumatic situation, be it a pleasant situation, all these are the eternal verities. So all are very much there in the writers, and they are trying to represent them. So one is trying to give you the local flavor of northern part or Uttar Pradesh in particular. Thakazhi is trying to give you the picture of Kerala and especially the Kuttanadan folk. And culture and the literary elaboration is very much there in the novels which I have already discussed. And landscape in the sense, Kuttanad's picture is very much there about the fisherman folk and about the community that is there in Chemmin. And in the other works we can see in Randidangadi and Rungs of Ladder or in Eni Padigal, we can see how one person wants to climb the social ladder, how he wants to attain a social status in the society, and for that he is marrying a person, he tries to seduce the person, but at the end he realizes the folly, and it's not actually a cathartic transformation is not happening, but but he realizes that there were things that have gone wrong. That kind of a thought, or the writers are able to give means, although these two writers are not giving you a complete solution, they are trying to evoke some sort of thinking, or they are trying to make us think more about that, or make us evaluate in a new angle. And of course, there is a scope for literature in comparison and in translation, and even in the select writers Munshi, Premchand and Thakazhi. There in lot many ways. We can because as of now only handful research works are existing in the field, and at the same time, and some of the works are only focusing on their individual commitment, and some are focusing only on one or two works. So if you're really interested, means future researchers, they can actually talk about the role of translation, and at the same time, when you are comparing, you can bring these elements, how socialism is reflected in the work, or how women characters are portrayed in the novels of Thakazhi and Premchand. So there is actually lot of scope in all these areas, and especially the kind of literary realism, that is also a good topic worth researching. And when we check the review of literature, also only a few works have already been out, and one has like 2-3 works have been out. Out of that, one work has been done in Kannur University in Urdu literature, 2-3 works have been done in Kerala University, and while I was doing mine, was the first work to come out in English language, and that too giving an importance for the cultural cartography. So while I was doing my research, I had to limit my research to a few novels, although I have given a fleeting reference to a few short stories and novels. I feel there is a lot of scope, especially there are stories like soldier, mother, then Pativrata, prostitute. In all these stories, you can come across a lot of, and as I previously mentioned about Do Bailon Ki Kada, in all these, in the floods, in all these, you can actually make a lot of comparisons and even contrast about the way how the themes are presented and how they are expressed in the works. So I would like to conclude my presentation with a famous quote from Michael Ondaatje, taken from the English Patient. I believe in such cartography to be marked by nature, not just label ourselves on a map like the names of rich men and women on buildings. We are communal histories, communal books. All I desired was to walk upon such an earth that had no maps. So I would like to conclude my presentation by stating that Earth had no maps, and both Thakazhi Shivashankara Pillai and Munshi Premchand have succeeded in proving that Earth or India does not have the border or map like North and South, because the feelings or the emotions and the characters and the themes are universal and they are prevalent everywhere. Thank you, and thank you so much for giving me this wonderful opportunity to render this lecture. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Aparna. It was indeed a very engaging lecture, very interesting talk. And I think all the researchers and the other audience, they must have benefited by your research work. In fact, we all know that the spectrum of Indian English literature is very vast. And the kind of cultural richness, the linguistic richness which India has in terms of vernacular and the independent vernacular literary traditions, that is, I think, unparalleled. So even the spectrum of this Indian literature or Indian English literature, that provides a very broad scope for research. And I think all these new scholars would be getting new ideas after listening to your research. So I would like to thank you for sharing your insight, Dr. Aparna. Very interestingly, you have brought out that cultural diversity, but at the same time, the common ground which we can see in these two authors. You have also pointed out the linguistic nuances. You have also pointed out the challenges which you faced in terms of translation. So all those things you faced, you learned, and then you overcame that challenge, and you were able to bring out, that kind of research findings. You navigated this particular area very extensively, and that is reflected in your talk itself. So I think all the audience would be able to get it very clearly. And similarly, the thematic engagement which you have talked about in terms of, let's say, the portrayal of the cultural myth, maybe having the vernacular color and the local color, but still how they are coming close to each other, how they are actually giving you a very broad and vibrant picture of the Indian cultural spectrum. So that is definitely to gain a lot from your talk. So I think people would be very, very excited to ask you some questions, some queries. So maybe I can invite all those queries, maybe the quick queries from the audience side. You can turn on your mic and then, of course, your camera, and you can ask questions, or maybe you can type it in the chat box also if you want to. So the section is open for queries and questions or doubts, or maybe sharing your observations if you wish. So, anyone who would like to ask from Aparna? I think they were so engrossed in listening to you that they are still, it's turning in their mind. They're still, it's a mind-boggling session, so they must be thinking a lot in their mind. Lot of things to carry.
Aparna, it was a wonderful session.
Thank you, ma'am.
And the research was quite engaging, like how, yeah, there are many questions coming there.
Yeah, in the chat box.
So maybe in the chat box, questions are there.
I think I can read it out. Like there is a question from Musamala Vamsi Krishna, and the question is: are there any recurring themes or stylistic choices that the article identifies in the works of both authors? How do these contribute to their place within the Indian literary tradition? Aparna, you can read it in the chat box yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
Also.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, ma'am. Ma'am, regarding the recurring themes, what I was able to find during the research was about the women characters, and widow remarriage is there, and the issues of women prostitution. All these things are relevant, and at the same time, working class and ruling class issues, like and the impact of this. Revolutionary ideas are also there. That to an extent, can be seen, but throughout the novel, or if you are asking in general about the kind of recurring themes, I would say that themes especially about women and about the suppression of the lower class society, that is a common theme to work about. And regarding the stylistic choices, style in the sense, both the writers, they have, I'm not a better person to talk much about Hindi language, because I have relate mainly on the translation. But about Thakazhi, of course, as you know, that even the language, there are differences in the way he has written Chemmin, or when you are moving to a novel like Randidangadi, and the kind of that class difference also, because Chemmin, when it is talking about the fisherman folk or the diatribe in Randidangadi, and when you are moving to a novel like Rungs of Ladder, any particle, there you can see the difference in the kind of language and the community with which he is engaging. Whether means they are like means bureaucrats are there, government officers are there, so the kind of language, and at the same time their interaction, their issues. And moving to a novel like Thottide Magan, it is again trying to talk just about that kind of people. And his another famous novel, Tendi Vargam, or about the beggar clan. He is talking only about the beggar people and how they are treated in the society. So I feel that they are, or they do have a place in the society, or those are the topics worth discussing. And there is lot of scope to research and do more on these topics or these novels. Because while I was doing the research also, I could hardly come across materials, or hardly come across even articles on novels based on these thematic choices. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, thank you, Aparna. I think you can take another question. There is a question from Mohammed Salim. Do you interpret Thakazhi as a chronicler of subalternized ones? Can you see it in the chat box?
Yes. Yes, I have seen the question, Thakazhi, as a chronicler of. If you're asking from the point of the works which I have selected for my doctoral thesis, I would feel that most of the works or the characters they belong to the subaltern community. But he has written about when you are talking, considering a novel like Kair, he's giving you the story of the generations and even the other novel which I have not included, but of course I have read, that is about the children of Ausef. There also, of course, he's trying to talk about the subaltern people, but yeah, he's trying to give you the picture of other people and the community. But when I am trying to talk about the literary realism, in that I am giving, or I was focusing mainly on the themes like this subjugated people or the subaltern people, or else the weaker sections of the society, and about women in particular. These were the things.
Okay, thanks, Aparna. I think now there is more of an observation which Sudipta would like to share with you.
Yeah.
I think you can read it in the chat box. I am just reading it out for the audience. Apart from the differences in the ethics, identities, and culture differences, both the novels point to the cultural convergence and shared feeling for the downtrodden class in India. The point of cultural convergence points to the pluralism in terms of expression and articulation, and these two things are very important for culture studies. So yes, it's an observation. I think if you would like to add something to that, maybe you can respond to Sudipta.
Yes, ma'am. Of course, they are trying to talk more about, yes, pluralism is there, but still they are trying to talk about how we can how we can converse the culture, or how the kind of ethical identities are there, the cultural differences are there. But still, they are trying to give you a broader picture of the kind of life that is existing. Means one life which we are familiar with, other one which we are not familiar with. But through this novel, so this through this creative works, we are getting a picture, or we are able to know what is happening in other part of the world. So in a way, and I agree with this point that they are trying to talk about, of course there are differences, cultural differences are very much there, then linguistic differences are very much there, but still they are trying to actually map the culture, or they are trying to bridge the gap existing between the languages, or between the writers from two different parts.
Any other questions from the audience side? So yes, Aparna, it was definitely a very engaging, interesting, insightful session, and there is a lot to carry by these researchers. So I would like to hand over to Betsy Paul, Dr. Paul. Now I think you can take over.
Yeah, thank you. I think some more observations are there.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
you want to read them out, Dr. Bhumika?
Okay, I'll read
Or
it out because there are more
shall I?
observations coming. Yeah, I can see there is another observation. I have read some
There's
short
also a
stories of
question.
Thakazhi, Sivasankar Pallai. Among that, I really like this fellow perfectly. So I would like to hear your observation about the story in today's scenario. Aparna, would you like to give
Ma'am,
your
in the
observation?
floods or Vellapokatil story was very much discussed during the recent floods we had in the year 2018, and we have seen how the deluge has created issues, or how in a story like he has asked me about the observations in today's scenario. So today, even if you're asking about the literary aspect or the kind of relationship, I do not know how much or how that relationship is maintained. But yeah, of course, when the floods were happening, we have seen that people who we do not know, whom we are not familiar with, there were people were all helpful, and all means willing to do whatever even in a possible, even in a minute possible ways, people were trying to help each other out. So I think that there is still that element of humanity, and that is the kind of humanity we should retain. Whether it is a flood, whether it is a virus, we should stand together, which together we can, that kind of an impact, or that kind of an impression we had, or we have seen during the time of floods. In a short story story like Vellapokkathil, even if yes, when it is a flood or something like that, we would try to save our lives. But at that moment, he was not knowing what, and in that boat, everybody was not capable of traveling. So he tried to go with his wife or kids, and after a few days, when he is coming back, or once the flood recedes, he's not waiting for 2 or 3 months. Even after that, means within a gap of 2 or 3 days, he's coming back and he's searching. And when he gets to know about the death of the dog, that creates or that evokes a kind of relationship. It is almost similar to any kind of relationship when we miss somebody in our life, or when everybody. So this reminds me of the poem, and I would suggest you to read the poem Art of Losing by Tishani Doshi. Again, is an Indian poet. She has written about the art of losing. So in that, she has written, be it a pet dog, or be it a lover, or be it an aunt, or be it your grandparents. After a point of time, you will also die. But it does not mean that we should be carried away by the thoughts, or we should always be preoccupied. That means we should go ahead. We have a life, and we must accept that this art, it is an art. Losing itself is also an art, and we should accept and we should understand that. So whether it is flood or whether it is any other kind of deluge, we must make our mindset, or we must develop our mindset to be a part of that. And at the same time, we must means the show must go on. That should be the attitude, and I hope that literature is capable of giving you that sort of a spirit. This is my personal opinion.
Yeah, very true, Aparna. Of course, literature has a human sensitivity as well as a kind of understanding that allows you to go ahead. So that is a very big strength or the force that you can always see in literature. There
Yes,
are other questions also.
yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so maybe you can read it out because I'm not able to see the entire question. There are 2-3 lines which are visible to me on my screen, which says it's something about prostitution. How does this complicate the traditional understanding of prostitution? There is first half which I'm not able to read because of certain problem on my screen.
Yes, ma'am. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll read it out.
Yeah.
Beyond the transactional aspect, do the works depict any emotional connections or relationships formed by female sex workers with their clients? And how does it complicate the traditional understanding of prostitution? Because in the novels which I have selected, both the characters are actually prostitutes. One was a married lady, and she was not satisfied in the life. One reason was her husband was not that well off. He was not able to take care of her demands and requirements. That is one reason why she comes out of that wedlock, and she feels that even a prostitute leads a life better than her. So why can't she? So with that mentality, she is coming. So in the beginning, when she was living as a married lady, of course, she had good relationships with the character, with Padam Singh and family. That is shown in that novel. And when she comes out of that, and once she becomes a prostitute, or once she has money, and once she gains the gains this status of a prostitute, she's not even accepted, or even her sister treats her with great disgust. Nobody is willing to accept her. So that is the kind of, so relationship is actually dwindling. And in this in the story which I have taken, the clients who are coming, they are actually not showing any particular kind of relationship. Whereas in the novel of Premchand, Padita Pankajam, of course, Gunavati is under the clutches of a greedy man like Ratishan, and she wants to come out of that. And in fact, Vinayan was also a frequenter, and Vinayan was also one client. Later he changes that, and later he develops a kind of in the beginning it was a sympathy, and later he gives an assurance that he would like to marry her. But somehow it is not happening because of Radishan and the interference of other people. But one thing she has decided is that she has decided to come out of that. And there is one more story named I think it's named Prostitute Veshya, I think. In that also you can see a kind of relationship. There also you can see a kind of cordial relationship, whether and a prostitute is having a very good relationship with other person, and they're actually they love the person, and they don't want that person to suffer in a relationship or to have this kind of a label. So this is how that how does this complicate the traditional understanding of prostitution. So now when we term it as prostitution or sex working, even I don't think it is this is a kind of traditional understanding, because whenever we do something against the society, I hope you have seen the movies like Pink or Parched. In those movies also we can see how society treats. So because when a woman does not follow the trend of the society, how she is taken or how she is evaluated in the society. So same is the case. I don't think there is a change in the understanding of prostitution, but the treatment has to be changed. This is what I, because we know that relationship, we cannot relationship also attained new status, like means open relationship, living relationship, lot many relationship statuses we are giving these days. In fact, movies are actually discussing and giving you a picture of all those. So when you are taking into consideration, or even in movies like Pink, you can see how women are labeled or women are treated in a fallen way.
Okay, Aparna, there is another question by Gopika. She would like to know the titles of the book you have read on literary cartography. If you can share a few.
Literal cartography for this, because cartography mainly for the literary theory, I have used the book of Seaman, Seaman, and Seaman, that is the basic book which I have. Others I have taken from some readings of cartography or geography books. And for my thesis and for this preparation, I have relied on 2-3 key ideas mentioned by the writer Seaman. Seaman on literary cartography. From that, I have actually taken the kind of how means literature. When we are saying that literature has borders, or literature is trying to bind borders or this barriers, how that is reflected when you are trying to talk about the culture. So I hope Seaman's work was capable of placing my work in the tradition of literature along with this cartography.
Any other query from participant side? Or any
I think there are
observation?
more queries, but then maybe
Okay. Yeah.
it is getting
Time
late.
constraint. Yeah, it's
People
time constraint.
and especially because well, this is time of taking supper, etc.
Yeah, exactly. So we would not like to keep our audience waiting from their supper. So
Yeah,
I think it has been a very fruitful session, and I'm really thankful
it
to you,
was.
Dr. Betsy, for sharing, inviting me to share this session. I thoroughly enjoyed that, and even I would like to see certain academicians who joined it, like Professor Joy Jeet, even Reverend Father Thomas. So it was indeed my pleasure and privilege to meet them online, and of course the college staff, so which you introduced. So thank you so much, Dr. Betsy, the organizing team, and Dr.
Thank you
Aparna,
so much,
speaker.
Dr. Bhumika.
Thank you,
Thank you
ma'am.
so much.
Thank you.
So over to you, Dr.
Thank
Betsy.
you, Dr. Bhumika. And also, I should say a special word of thanks for the way in which you introduced the speaker, the way in which you intervened during the question and answer sessions, and making all the relevant comments. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation, coming here, and
Hi.
also this is also a moment of pride for you to see your student doing
Yes, of
such a
course.
presentation.
Indeed.
And she has, I would have been
even
proud to have a
even
student
even she reflects my
doing this.
memory for the entire research journey, the discussion which we had, the challenges which we faced, and the, like, the time we enjoyed together. With it's like a very wonderful experience for me also. So seeing her at this stage is indeed a very great moment of proud for me also. Thank you so much. Okay, Aparna, all the
My
best.
research scholars
Hope
are
you
here, and I hope that they too will continue this.
yeah,
So wonderful.
sure.
And Dr. Aparna, I have no words. Hearty congratulations. And a great
Nice.
thanks. And a
Okay.
great thanks to all the participants who are still with us even when they are waiting for their lunch or the supper, and maybe the family members are waiting for the supper. But then I think there is a small event to complete to bring this session to conclusion. So, Meera, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, please.
Okay.
Please
So that was a
complete,
very
please.
wonderful presentation. Thank you for such a very enlightening presentation, ma'am. And now it's time.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now it's time for making a word of gratitude to everyone who is present here. I invite Ms. Jamila to Research Scholar, St. Aloysius College, Thrissur, for the vote of thanks. Over to you.
Thank you, ma'am. Respected Principal Dr. Chacko Jose, Manager of the College, Reverend Father Thomas Sakramakal, Director of the Research Center, Dr. Betsy Paul, IQAC Coordinator, Dr. Libison, then the Speaker of the Day, Dr. Aparna Ajith, Chairperson, Dr. Bhumika, ma'am, then Organizing Committee of Chrysalis, and the participants from different parts of India. Good evening to all. I feel really honored to propose vote of thanks to this wonderful lecture series, Chrysalis. I was in doubt regarding the meaning of the term chrysalis, and Reverend Father Thomas Sakramakal cleared my doubts regarding this particular name, that it's a combination of Christ and Saint Aloysius. It's really, actually, this chrysalis is really a worthy platform for researchers from different parts of India to enlighten their mind and to interact with each other. It was a lively interaction, actually. Ma'am, chairperson was so active and dynamic, actually, in quoting the questions and giving answers, eliciting answers also. Okay, as we draw the curtains on this enlightening journey through our Chrysalis lecture series, it's the first of this series in this year, I think. It fills me with immense gratitude and pleasure to extend my heartfelt thanks to each and every one of you who made this event a resounding success. At first and foremost, I extend my deepest gratitude to our esteemed principal, sir, Dr. Chacko, sir, then Reverend Father Thomas Sakramakal, then the speaker of the day, Dr. Aparna Ajith, Director of Research Center, Dr. Betsy Paul, and all the participants and organizing committee, all. Actually, the speaker, your expertise, your passion, your dedication have truly illuminated the listener's mind and enriched our understanding of the subjects discussed. It was really a wonderful experience, ma'am. Dr. Aparna, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay. A special word of thanks goes to our organizing committee also for this meticulous planning, tireless efforts, and attention to detail, which ensured that everything ran smoothly from start to finish. It was really a wonderful online session that I have attended so far. Your hard work and behind the scenes has not gone unnoticed and is deeply appreciated. My heartfelt appreciation to you all and the crew of St. Aloysius, my research guide, Dr. Aditha ma'am, then Susan ma'am, all the others. I express my word of gratitude to all. Okay, last but not least, there are several participants from different parts of India to make it a national experience, actually. So I thank from my heart, from the bottom of my heart, to all the participants who have actively participated in this and have given their queries and have given their